The Tale of Hippo the Gentle Giant. In the heart of Africa, where the sun blazed down on golden savannas and dense jungles, there was a mighty river called the Great Zambezi. This river was home to many creatures, but none was as magnificent and feared as the hippopotamus, or as the locals called him, Hippo the Gentle Giant. Hippo was enormous, with a barrel-shaped body that could crush boulders and jaws that could snap a tree trunk in half. His skin was as thick as leather, shining in the sunlight with a subtle pink hue, and his eyes, small but sharp, always seemed to be watching. Despite his formidable appearance, Hippo was known far and wide not just for his strength but for his kind and gentle nature. Hippo spent his days wallowing in the cool waters of the river, his massive body submerged, with only his nostrils, eyes, and ears above the surface. He loved the feel of the water flowing over his skin and the mud that he would cake on his back to protect himself from the sun. The river was his kingdom, and he ruled it not with fear, but with wisdom and compassion. Every morning, as the mist lifted from the water, Hippo would rise, his enormous head breaking the surface like a mountain emerging from the sea. The other animals of the river, crocodiles, fish, and birds would greet him with respect, for they knew that Hippo was the protector of the river. He maintained peace and balance, ensuring that everyone lived in harmony. One day, a severe drought struck the land. The rains had stopped, and the river began to shrink, its mighty flow reduced to a mere trickle. The animals were worried, for the river was their lifeline, and without it, they would surely perish. The crocodiles became restless, and the smaller animals began to fight for the little water that remained. Seeing the distress of his fellow creatures, Hippo knew he had to act. He gathered all the animals by the banks of the river and spoke in his deep, rumbling voice, which echoed across the plains. "My friends," he began, "the river is our home, our life. We must not let this drought tear us apart. We must work together to survive." But the animals were afraid. The crocodiles, with their sharp teeth, were particularly aggressive, snapping at anything that came close. The smaller creatures were too scared to approach the river, and chaos reigned. Hippo, despite his size and strength, was not a creature of violence. He knew that he had to find another way to bring peace. So, he decided to use his wits. He approached the leader of the crocodiles, a fierce and ancient beast named Scar, who had scars all over his body from battles long forgotten. "Scar," Hippo said calmly, "I know you are strong, and I know you fear nothing. But if we continue to fight, there will be no river left for any of us. Let us find a way to share the water until the rains return." Scar, who had always respected Hippo's wisdom, listened. He knew that Hippo was right. After a long pause, Scar nodded. "What do you suggest, Hippo?" he asked. Hippo proposed a plan: the animals would take turns using the river. The crocodiles would hunt only at night when the smaller creatures were safe in their burrows, and during the day, the rest of the animals would have free access to the water. In return, Hippo promised to stay vigilant, ensuring that no one broke the peace. The plan worked. The river, though low, continued to flow, and the animals began to trust one another again. The crocodiles kept their word, and the smaller animals could drink without fear. Hippo's wisdom and gentle nature had saved the day. As the weeks passed, the drought showed no signs of ending, but the animals of the Great Zambezi had learned to live in harmony. Hippo continued to watch over them, his enormous presence a constant reminder of the power of kindness and wisdom. Then, one night, a miracle happened. Dark clouds gathered over the plains, and a cool breeze swept through the land. The animals looked up in hope as the first raindrop fell, followed by another, and then another. Soon, the heavens opened, and the rain poured down, filling the river to its banks once more. The animals rejoiced, dancing and playing in the water. The crocodiles, too, celebrated, snapping playfully at the falling raindrops. Hippo, however, stood on the riverbank, watching the joy around him with a contented smile. He knew that the rain would come eventually, but he also knew that the real miracle was the unity that the drought had brought among the creatures of the river. They had learned that even in the darkest times, there is strength in coming together, and that wisdom and compassion could overcome even the greatest challenges. From that day on, Hippo was more than just the ruler of the river. He was a symbol of peace, a reminder that true strength lies not in might, but in the heart. The animals of the Great Zambezi never forgot the lesson they had learned from Hippo the Gentle Giant, and they lived in harmony ever after, grateful for the wisdom of their gentle protector.